it was all great. It was like we talked about like the RFK stuff, vaccines, and then we did a bit of like conspiracy stuff at the end, and then finished it with like talking about unity. So it all like it flowed perfectly. It was great. I liked it.
Nice. That's awesome.
And
I
I'm
don't know what RFK is.
or RFK Jr.
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
You or
Something happening?
he is a member, I guess, a guy that Trump is getting in to his cabinet. He was running as an
Oh,
independent for a little bit, but I don't know. It seems like they said something like, "Oh, if you keep running, there might be issues," and he just went, "Okay, well, I'll just join the winning side, I guess." You know?
that's hilarious, actually. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this episode because I've been enjoying like watching Ben and do his stuff, and it's been like inspiring and also like nice just to see that you can just go and do whatever the hell you're doing and live your life. And I've been enjoying like listening to his episodes of like whatever perspectives he's had from the cities he's been visiting. So that's been cool as well. So yeah, glad you had that opportunity, Chad.
Yeah. Oh, me too. And I'm glad that we get to talk as well. And
Yeah.
you're right. It's cool seeing him. Because I guess he got the like a work from home job. Forget what it's called.
Mm-hmm. Remote.
Yes, thank you. Since he got the remote job, it gives him the freedom to be able to work wherever, and I
Yeah.
hope more jobs can offer that to people because that's an opportunity I feel like a lot of people like would love to do and deserve to do, right?
Yeah. That would be nice to not have to feel like you're a cog in a corporate machine that's like being wasted away from nine to frankly nine. It feels like sometimes.
Exactly, and especially if you have to drive any amount of distance.
Yeah. 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 It's a mentality thing, it feels like, you know?
Absolutely.
It's very interesting because I was working at Amazon for a few years before I got laid off, and that was like very, very stressful. And it wasn't very cooperative. My teammates weren't very like didn't really want to work with me because there was this policy. Well, I don't know because of this policy, but as an additional consideration, there was this policy, or it still is this policy where the managers of every team has to fire X% of the team every year. So you have to conditionally be recycling, it's called, where like you're taking out the bottom percent or bottom, like whatever, whoever you think is the least productive of the team every year, and then getting in new hires. And then this is like in their mind the optimal way to make sure that you have the best people. But what I found, which was very interesting, was that no one actually wanted to help anyone then because they wanted to make sure that their work was getting recognized, their work was the best, their work was the one that was getting the most recognition, and anyone else who wanted help will just take away from your capacity to do stuff, and that wasn't as much recognized. You helping wasn't recognized as much outside of the feedback you received at the end of every year. But yeah, it was just interesting what kind of, I don't know, stuff happens in companies like that because now like they're one of the companies who did switch to work remote for just the period of COVID, but then now they're asking, I think they're asking everyone to come to work every day of the week now. And so that's gotten a lot of people like not wanting to work at Amazon at all. And I mean, I figure they're probably happy with it as well because they have a recognition of like, oh, they're Amazon. So like they're gonna get the people who do want to work every day, and there will be enough people who are looking for that high of working at a company like that that they can probably afford to make decisions like that. But it's just interesting where the priorities are and why you do what you do then and what kind of impact that has on your workforce.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's crazy. I had no idea it was like that, and yeah, it doesn't seem that conducive to keeping people like happy because you're just perpetuating that like competitive spirit like you were talking about, but it's not helping people. Like you're not competitive as a team. You're
Yeah.
competitive against your teammates, which yeah, I'm sorry to hear that because I don't know, maybe it was for the best that that did end because you were saying it's stressful and it just yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot to put on your conscience as well, right? Because you're thinking, oh well, I better pick up the slack. I don't want to be at the bottom, and it just yeah. Well, and haven't they got upset at their workers for like taking bathroom breaks and stuff? Like the most absurd,
Yeah.
like that is basic human necessity. That's
Yeah.
their basic human rights. You can't get upset at people for that. Like
No. Yeah, no. I was just before this call, I was like, after I had said, that I'm ready, I was like, damn, I kind of want to go to the bathroom though. So I did go to the bathroom. I'm like, if he's ready, I'll just tell him, that I changed my mind. I need a few more minutes. But I mean, it's stuff like that where like you want to have the sensitivity and vulnerability and openness to just like actually be here, actually respond to what's happening, not like, oh, we decided that at X time we're gonna do X thing, and it's like then you build resentment towards everyone in the world who's not doing X thing because you are the good person who's doing the X thing, and you're upset that not everyone is showing up in the same way that you are, but you never needed to show up in that way, and so yeah.
yeah, no, that's very true. Well, I was just working on a video script that I want to do later. I haven't recorded it yet on stoicism, and I think that
Interesting.
has a big part to play in it. In if people are trying to be stoic or they're trying to be a good person, whatever that is, that can build resentment to the people who, oh, they're not working as hard as me or they're not putting in the work. But it's like, is it really that, or is it that you're putting too much strain on yourself and then you're projecting it onto other people, right? And
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what like Jeff Bezos was doing to himself at the start, going like, "Oh, I have to be the best. I have to outrank everyone," and then it
Yeah.
it leads to a bad business model. Well, I guess if it makes money, it works, but to the employees, if they don't like
Yeah.
working for your company, it's not really. I don't think it's a good business personally.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever met anyone at Amazon who was like happy about working at Amazon outside of the money they were making. Honestly, straight up.
Yeah, and that sounds exactly like Loblaws. And
Oh.
it was kind of the same thing where it it was more because they hired like high school students and stuff. It was either the full timers that got the 40 hours, they had their full time work weeks, or you had the part time students that didn't get enough hours to make enough money. So they were constantly recycling them. But because of
Mm,
seniority, all the full timers always got the better hours or the better deals, whatever it was. So yeah, you got to take care of the people who have been there the longest, but you also have to balance that with all the new people and like make sure everybody's happy, which you can't, you can never do, right?
yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I was glad that they laid me off because I kind of wanted to leave myself. I was just holding out for like other opportunities at the time. I was applying in other places, and that was also a little hard because of how much work I did have to do for Amazon. So even that was hard to look for other opportunities. And I was also going through my whole thing as well at the time of transitioning genders, and that was taking a lot of um, effort in my mind mostly, but also like therapy sessions, counseling, a lot of like setting up appointments and all that stuff. So there was a lot of stuff that was happening at the time, and they didn't have the capacity to be able to see that, hey, this person needs some space and taking medical leaves at this time is okay. They saw that as rather an opportunity to see that, hey, if this person needs medical leaves, like, let's just kick them, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so honestly, it was nice because while I haven't found a job since then, that has had other impacts on my life that we can talk about as well. it's been a it's been nice to have that opportunity to not work because I had been working since basically birth, honestly, like school, yeah, university, then trying to find a great job, and I had even during university not taken even a term off. Like I was either studying or I was working, and during school as well. So it was like very much like go, 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 just get to the next thing, try to make sure that you're doing the right thing, try to make sure that you're the right gender, try to make sure that you're doing all the things that you may want to have a future that's like good, like heavenly, I guess.
Yeah.
I, it,
I heard something recently that was talking about like the goal oriented mindset can take
mm,
away the satisfaction of being in the moment doing whatever you're doing, right? And that's the whole school system, work system. You're just working to get to a point where you can retire and then you can relax when you're
yeah,
like 70, 80, like when you're on your deathbed basically. And it's like, well, why are we putting all this work in just to get to that point? Why can't we find fulfilling work, or why can't it be, rewarding? And I am curious to hear like maybe what are some other areas of life you found difficult during that time, like transitioning?
yeah, transitioning as well as looking for an out of the loneliness that I was feeling at the time, I think. Um, I think that's kind of been the answer to a lot of what I was feeling, which is like that loneliness, that aloneness, that feeling of like there is an end result, like that goal-oriented thing that you're talking about. Like the transition, I think it felt like was an answer to a problem that didn't exist, but that I saw as a problem, which is that I don't know what's going to happen, I guess, in one way or another. I think dualistic unity as well, like my relationship with the podcast and that community was a response or a reaction as well to that feeling. It feels like of like I can't control how anyone perceives me, and at the time of the start of the transition, it was COVID, so I didn't have anyone to hang out with. I had my brother at my home, but he didn't want to talk really very much at all, and he also recognized how much I was kind of using him to soothe myself and my loneliness, and so he kind of wanted to do his own thing, and so that left me with a lot of feelings that I had to deal with myself. And it felt like gender or a community or anything like that was an answer, it felt like, to that feeling. But that feeling was never a problem. That feeling was just like, oh, I can sit with this. It's like an opportunity to express myself in all sorts of ways. Like seeing it from another perspective, like one perspective that I've been having of that is that I am afraid of this. Like this loneliness, this deep down understanding that I can't control what's going to happen and I can be afraid of it and I can try to control my way through it through a community, through some God figure, through some understanding of my gender, something that I feel like has some roots in my past, maybe, of like, or some roots in society and how society deals with women compared to men, because it felt like I was being treated like shit because I was a man at some points. And honestly, it did feel like I had a lot of openness and options for vulnerability as I was transitioning and as I had like more opportunities to hang out with women rather than men. But that I also don't know how much of that had to do with me being open to express myself. The more I was transitioning, the more I was feeling, because I started feeling more and more stuff as well as I was transitioning. Um, like more and more feelings, more and more just like seeing how much I'm like suppressing my urges and desires to express myself in ways that I wasn't able to as a man, because like men aren't supposed to cry, men aren't supposed to be like saying "aw," like stuff like that. Men aren't supposed to, I don't even know, like
Or sorry, if you do that kind of stuff, then you get the guys who have to be straight and then say, "Oh, are you gay?" And it's like, I'm just talking. I'm just being myself. That does my actions make me gay, or is it like, I don't know. That seems like such a weird thing that I noticed growing
right?
up. Why do you have to call at
Same.
other people or point at other people, right? But I'm glad to hear that you were able to find more connections, or you did feel, you did find more sense of community through that and after.
Yeah.
Do you have, I don't know, do you have anything you could say to people who might be going through similar struggles with their gender, like anything that might help them on their journey?
Stay open, I guess, to options. Because at the time that I was going through the transition, I was what the main question I had on my mind was like, is this like how things have to be? Because I thought this is because that's what doctors say, that's what society tells told me, is that this is how things have to be. Like if you're trans, then that's something in the mind or in the brain, and like you start to feel like your body is like different, like your body is supposed to be different, like you're in the wrong body. All of this is like registered in like the DSM-5, which is like the book that they have of disorders and how you diagnose disorders, and like one of them is like gender dysphoria. And how do you diagnose gender dysphoria? Well, you don't. The person who has gender dysphoria diagnoses themselves based on the experiences that they've had. But based off of everything I was reading, it seemed like the only clinical or the only solution anyone has ever found, and I was looking at Buddhism, people who like went to Buddhist temples who were trans as well, and it seemed like everyone that I had at least come across had only found ways to make themselves feel okay with the gender dysphoria, that rather than to not have it. Um, and so while I was going through my transition, I thought that I did have to go through those surgeries, through those hormones, and through all of those things because it seemed like those feelings were never going to go away. Um, but what I had found later on was that those feelings were there because of some other reason. Like I was trying to perceive myself in a certain kind of way. I was trying to have control over how I was perceived, and all of those things were for a reason. Like I felt like I had to do that because I felt like I could do that. Like I could have a better life by other people seeing me as a woman, for example, or by me seeing myself as a woman even. Um, but yeah, I guess if I have anything to say, it's just to stay open. Like it isn't just one thing. Like I don't have any gender dysphoria anymore, so there's at least one example now, and maybe hopefully more
Yeah.
of people who are just like realizing that gender dysphoria isn't a permanent state of experience. It's one state of experience, and cisgendered people, in my opinion, go through it as well. It's just like a different range. Like it feels like this range or the spectrum feels smaller in relation to everything else that they're experiencing. Whereas with transgender people, it's like a bigger range because of I guess where their mind is going, and how they feel like they're expressing themselves and how they can't express themselves because of the way that we box people up into men and women. So it feels like people who are, I don't know, more inclined to be able to express themselves freely don't feel like they need to change their bodies, whereas people who don't feel like they can express themselves freely and sometimes also want to have a hook on control will want to change, certain things about themselves, whether it be their weight or their gender. So that's something I
Fair.
would say, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you feel like you have found, like you said, you don't feel the gender dysphoria anymore? Do you feel like you have felt more comfort since transitioning? Nice.
Since detransitioning for sure. And since transitioning, I would say as well, because like with the transition, okay, so there's two parts to this.
Okay, yeah.
Um, I
Sorry, I didn't
appreciate the
know.
questions as well. This is awesome. Because it's
Absolutely.
giving me a chance to reflect on some things that I don't feel like I did even until now. So appreciate the opportunity to do so. Um, but yeah, there was the portion where I was transitioning to being a woman where that felt like liberating, very liberating at the time that I was doing it because I was allowing myself to express myself in ways like saying "aw" without being called gay, because I did get called gay for a lot of things as well. I relate with that so much.
Oh, yeah, and that's. I'm sorry to hear that because it's not. It's one of those
Yeah.
things where it's definitely other people being insecure with themselves, and especially when you're younger, you don't understand like, oh, I feel bad, so I or what is it? Yeah, the younger you are, you feel bad, so you take it out on other people, and then the older you get, hopefully, you reflect more, and then, yeah. But no, it's yeah. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
But
Me
sorry.
too.
So, you said it felt liberating when you were transitioning to a woman. Uh,
Yeah.
and what?
Yeah. And in some ways, yeah, but in other ways, it felt like another box. Because it felt like now I couldn't be a guy.
Uh, yeah. No, understandably, because like
Yeah.
society is very like you're one or the other. Which one
Yeah.
is it? But they don't want to
Or
like.
you're non-binary, then that's another definition in and of itself.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and even the fact that we think we're getting more like open and accepting, but we're just putting more labels on stuff, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
people aren't really looking at it objectively and saying like, oh, okay, people are just people. They can do whatever they
Yeah.
want, wear whatever they want. It doesn't matter. But we think that the gender or all these labels that we put on it it means something, but it doesn't,
Yeah.
right? Well,
No.
and
And
sorry.
it's an interesting way I feel like to find your uh clique, I guess, because like um people seem to define themselves as well by how they dress, and so lesbians, for example, may have like some like stereotypes about how they dress and how they behave and how they talk, and they might find comfort in other lesbians who are also doing the same thing, and so they become friends because they're like, oh, you're like me, like that's how we build friendships, is by finding people who are like us, so we've got to figure out who we are. And so that's how I how I felt like non-binary as well became a definition of its own, which is like, oh, non-binary people have hair like this, and it's like dress like this and wear boots like this, and it's like this is just another gender, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually such a good point. Yeah, I guess it's in our like our processing. Our brain has to do so much of the work for our eyes. We get to the point where we look at someone and our brain just goes through the processes like that is this kind of person or that's a man. They like and then we go through the checklist, right? But yeah, it's something I want to make a reel about is just saying like I've been noticing more and more the amount of different people I see scrolling on Instagram, but it's feeling more and more like myself. It just feels like I'm the one talking to my phone, just in a different
Yeah,
body, and it's just, oh yeah, it's all the same. It's all the same
yeah,
thing, right?
yeah,
So yeah, I still need to
yeah.
make
That's a
the reel.
cool idea. I like that. Yeah, I've been feeling similarly as well going through Instagram, where it feels like it's talking to me, but it's really just me reflecting back on the experiences I'm having because it's happening everywhere. It's not just on Instagram, but it's like,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of cool being able to like see your own perspective on problems and how like
yeah,
you think somebody else is like a complete opposite version of you, but then your brain does that same thing where you're like, oh, I
mm-hmm,
have to pick one side or the other. Yeah. It's interesting that more, well, I don't know, maybe there are people out there that have come to this realization and don't like vocalize it or verbalize it, whatever. But it would be nice to hear more people saying, like, guys, what are we talking about? It's all the same thing, or why do we have to pick sides? Why can't we work together, right? Like, yeah.
yeah,
See, and well, I had a question before. I'm curious to know what your thinking was on the transitioning, and then what was the maybe what was the thing that interested you in transitioning back, or just I don't know.
yeah. So when I say transitioning, I mean mostly like Well, here's what I mean. Dressing differently, dressing how I kind of wanted to dress, because there were a lot of clothes in the women's side that weren't on the men's side. Like the men's side always had like button-up shirts and jeans, basically, and t-shirts, and like tank tops was like the greatest invention maybe of like variety, but like that's about it. And women have like basically all kinds of options like dresses and like crop tops, and crop tops apparently used to be a guy thing, but like it's gay now.
Damn. I had no idea. Jeez.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I guess
So a lot of variety.
to show off the abs, I guess, eh? Like
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah,
so
that would make sense.
so I guess it was more just like you saw more ways to be able to express yourself to the world, eh?
Yeah, yeah. Whether it's through clothes or through voice, but then another surgeries, like facial hair removal as well. So that's why I don't have any facial hair, or the little that I do is because of that reason. Um, so there were a lot of like medical interventions that I took as well, and those were the parts that I felt like had an impact on my body and my physical well-being, and they still continue to, in terms of even my ability to go to the bathroom. So like it had like consequences that I feel sad about, and it's like changed how I live now basically, which is fine, but during that period I did hate myself a lot, how I looked at least. Um and I don't know. I was I was at a cafe like a few right before this call getting breakfast, and I saw this person who looked like they were transitioning as well. I don't know, but I talked with them, and she said her name was Sophie, and we talked, and I told her how beautiful she looked because I did think she was super beautiful, but I don't know. It's things like that that I didn't hear growing up at all, and that I felt like if I were a woman that I would have heard, because other girl kids were hearing it from my parents, but I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so and girl adults as well were hearing it, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um,
Just the two yeah, just the two genders, like how what is it? I think it's something to do with the estrogen and the testosterone. It's like something about estrogen makes you feel more emotional, or you're more able to communicate your emotions, whereas testosterone makes you more what's it, like responsive, or oh, I'm losing my words today. Like when you're quick to react to stuff, I guess.
right, right. No, I definitely understand what you're saying because I had read about this as well. Um, and I had I had wondered about this as well because when I had started transitioning, I started taking estrogen, and so my body was purely on estrogen at this point. I had very little testosterone. Like I had the same hormone levels as a cis woman at one point for like many years, and I did feel like starting out, I felt very, very emotional, more emotional than I had ever felt in my life, and I was feeling new feelings that I had never felt in my life, and I was expressing them more, and I was crying a lot. Um, and I felt like that was awesome. That felt very liberating in a way, and I thought that was to do with estrogen, but I don't know. Because I feel like I still cry just as much, and I'm on testosterone, like man hormones now, male hormones, and I still feel like I'm feeling new feelings every day. It feels like, and impulsive, I think it was the word we were looking for.
Oh
I don't
yes.
think, yeah, I don't think I feel as impulsive anymore either as I used to. So I don't know how much the hormones had an impact on it as much as like how we treat male kids, like male babies, like we are like having these gender parties, throwing out, figuring out what we want to dress up our babies when they're born, what we want to be giving them as toys, and I don't know how much of an impact that has and how much of an impact it has to tell your kid that boys shouldn't be crying because, yeah, I feel like I find it so interesting looking at my cousins growing up and seeing so many different but similar patterns between the boys and the girls in my family that it's just interesting.
Yeah. Oh, even you see like the gender reveal parties. You can have parents that get upset when they find out what gender they're having, and it's like, well, come
Damn.
on. I wonder if that even, in a way, gets passed down to the kids as like a sense of a gender is better than the other, even though it isn't. And then I wonder if that could lead to like, oh, if a father wanted a son, but they got a daughter, maybe, pardon me, that would lead to some like self resentment, and then I'm sure the father would treat the child like that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, and like you said, yeah, guys don't really hear like, oh, you're so handsome. Like you might hear it from your grandparents or something, but
Right, yeah.
your guy friends aren't coming up to you going like, oh, you look so handsome in that shirt. Like, no,
Yeah.
but girls will say, "Oh my gosh, that top is so cute. Where did you get it? You look amazing." All that, and it like reinforces, it builds confidence, right? I wonder if that would have something to do with it, just on a societal level. Why we have, this is just a generalization, but so many guys now having issues with their emotions and issues like with mental health and stuff, because our society isn't like geared to reinforcing like being able to cry, show your emotions, like
Yeah.
just be a human, right? Like I don't know. I think society and how we built it does have a lot to do with it, in the sense of like going to school, becoming a worker instead of a thinker. Like you get indoctrinated instead of
Yeah.
being like out in the world actually learning with your hands and being taught about stuff, right? And then you go to the workforce, and like we were talking about, it's all about efficiency and profits, not about your well-being as a person. So I don't know. I wonder if it does need a whole shift, or like, start from the ground up, basically, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I, that's interesting. Because I feel like I went to a retreat a week ago or 2 weeks ago, the Dualistic Unity retreat, and leading up to that retreat, I was having a lot of feelings about like what is DU? Like what am I doing with DU? Like do I want to be doing stuff with DU? And I did an acid trip like before the retreat, and that was a bold move in hindsight, but it had consequences and impacts of like, and not just the acid, but also like my willingness to look at my thoughts as something that can be learned from, I feel like. Because I think that's another like sense of control that I cling to, is like looking at my thoughts as something that I can learn from. And it's like I had the craziest trip. I was gonna say dream, and it could have, honestly, that's the fucked part, right? It could have also been a dream, and I mean, when I say could have been a dream, I mean like I could have been sleeping and not taking acid, and I would have seen all of those things, and that I feel like would have had a similar impact on my experience at the retreat, because I feel like I've been pushing it off to the drug for a little bit, but that kind of processed itself, I guess. But yeah, I was just at the retreat feeling very closed off, and I was feeling like I had to be like in my mind, and I was very self-involved, and I had a wall up in many different ways, and I was trying to bring my attention back to what was happening, but it almost felt like there was an urgency, and there was also like some need to keep reaching for my mind, and that had impacts, and it had consequences and destructive consequences. And so I was asked to leave the retreat at one point and blocked from DU and all of those things as well. Um, yeah, Ray has blocked me as well on Instagram and Patreon, and
What
yeah, they don't even
was,
want my money.
wow, what was like, I don't know, the way you were describing it, it didn't seem like it would lead to that, but was there something specifically that happen, or did he like just get triggered? I guess.
Honestly, so there was a few instances like I had some dreams and I had some experiences before the retreat that I kind of either wanted to resolve or find some answer to. And so I felt like I was reaching to other people at the retreat for an answer, like looking for a solution. And it was felt by everyone and it was affecting everyone's trips and it was affecting everyone's ability to just exist and be there, I guess. And it was affecting my ability to feel like I could just be there in whatever way I was showing up because I was feeling like I had to be reaching into my mind to figure out a solution to what I was feeling. So I couldn't even go to sleep until like I was, you know, feeling like I was doing something that was part of the flow, that was getting us somewhere better, that was like, but all of that was making me then reach into my thoughts. And so I was expressing some sexual neediness and I was expressing, not physically, but verbally, I was expressing neediness in the form of the fear of death and how I didn't want it to be there as well. Um, there was a lot of feelings that I was feeling, and I don't know if it like was a good thing or a bad thing to kick me out. It's just what happened, you know?
Right. Oh, fair enough. I'm sorry to hear that. And
Yeah, it was rough.
it it's unfortunate that that was the place for that to happen, but at the same time,
Yeah,
it should be like you should be able to feel what you're feeling whenever you're feeling it. And if you don't understand how to get through it, that's just part of the journey of figuring out how to
yeah,
get through it, right? Like, I don't know. I think everything can be learned from. There's no like,
yeah,
oh, this was an objectively bad thing, so now it's whatever. It's like, no, it's just lessons to be had.
yeah.
And yeah, it is. It's unfortunate how Ray does block people, because that was something. Yeah, that was something I was talking to Julia about, my girlfriend, just in the sense of like, well, if somebody is claiming to be open-minded and accepting and like an open space for people, it shouldn't. I don't know. There should be some level of tolerance to whatever comes up. It shouldn't just be like cut off, right? It should be like, okay, maybe you should take a break. Here's some space. You can come back whenever. I think that's perfectly
Interesting.
fine, right? But again, how I don't really have any right to say anybody else's actions are right or wrong. Everything's perspective, right?
Right, right.
But I don't think it's something to feel bad about. It's just something to reflect on and be like, oh yeah, that
Yeah,
happened. It was a part of my life, and now, like, I guess uh, it's just one moment in the now, and now you're in a different
yeah,
moment of the now.
yeah. No, it's okay. Yeah. I felt like I was using him to soothe a lot, and it's fair. I feel like in some capacity because I don't know if I want necessarily people to be soothing me either. Because it's fine to feel whatever I'm feeling. It's like, yeah, it feels shitty. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I know. I'll keep going. That's what I've been doing since then. I've been going. Um, and reflecting, which is something that's been happening as well. And
Yeah,
I do feel a little grateful as well. I feel like for the ability to just sit with not having DU in my life because it did become a lot of a chokehold. Felt like on me, where it felt like I had to be showing up as something specific, and like having a definition of what open-minded means, and having a definition of what a DU member means, having a definition of like what not having a mask is when I can feel like I'm putting on a mask because I'm not saying the things that I want to say, and I don't know.
oh,
I,
that's fair.
so I don't know. People like I talked with a friend group about this as well, and they were feeling a lot of feelings, and they wanted to talk with me as well. And I maybe we'll talk, maybe we won't. I don't know, but I don't know if it needs to be labeled, right? It's doesn't need to be labeled as a low, I feel like.
No,
Just
not
an
at all.
experience.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna turn a light on. Yes, absolutely. It's just an experience. It's just part of life, right? Existing. As a as an anecdote that I can share. Recently, I kind of blew up at some of my friends because what is it? We were in a group chat and one of them sent a picture of an article, and it said a rapper was shot in a robbery gone wrong. So I said, "Oh, play stupid games, win stupid prizes," because I thought this guy was committing a robbery and he was killed because of it. But they said,
Aww.
right, no, it's not. I shouldn't have said that either because it's not really right. And I'm sure there are people who they're in situations where they have to do what they have to do. But
Yeah.
they corrected me and
Yeah.
said, right, they corrected me and said, no, he was getting robbed and then was murdered during the robbery. So I said, oh, that's my bad. It was a misunderstanding. I apologize for it. And one of them said, oh, yeah, dummy, like, come on. And I don't know if it was because I was tired or because I was in a bad mood or just a mix of all of that, but I just went off and I was like, oh, yeah, like, I don't even want to go into what I said. It wasn't even that bad. It was just like the actual words don't need to be rehashed, but I
No.
I left the group chat and I took some time and I recently did like a microdose of a shroom bar, and then I messaged them and I said, "Hey, that's my fault. I shouldn't have said what I said, but I was expressing this emotion. I tried to explain that I misunderstood, but then being called a dummy, it just set me off. Again, it wasn't right of me to do that." And then what did I say at the end? And I said, "Look, you don't have to accept my apology. I just want to explain my thought process behind it because at the end of the day, everybody has emotions that they feel, and they're expressed differently, right?" And
Yeah.
thankfully, they were all chill. They were all like, "Yeah, no worries. We want what's best for you. It's not fun to see you act like that." And I said, "No, that's understandable." So we're on good terms, but it's like, yeah, everybody has their own way of going about stuff. And especially one of mine is like I get upset, but I can get upset at myself pretty bad to the point where I hit myself. Like I'll hammer a fist on my thighs or I'll like hit my head or whatever. And I'm trying to reflect and be like, yeah, probably shouldn't beat myself up literally because that's not, smart. But sometimes it's just like I'm so frustrated and I'm frustrated at myself that I want to
Yeah.
hurt myself, but it's not. At the end of the day, that's not productive.
No.
There are probably better ways to go about it, right?
Right.
So and it's something like
Yeah.
what is it? Even in DU, they talk about like, oh, you don't want to start feeling bad about feeling bad, because then you just go into that cycle. You just go, okay, well, it is what it is. You just breathe, and that's it, right?
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, it's so easy to start beating yourself up and trying to again figure out some way to move past something, but that just means that you're not feeling what you're feeling. So yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, I would say better out than in, even if it's something you want to say to someone, an emotion that you're feeling, if you need to cry, if you want to just like yell and scream. Sometimes I get a hoodie. Sorry, that was the cat feeder going off. Sometimes I get a hoodie and I put it over my face and I just yell into that, and it does a good job muffling it. So, all about finding the ways to express the feelings too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I feel angry because I had like, I don't know, an idea of what could be done. And I guess I'm angry at myself because I was beating myself up for not showing up in that way over and over again in the calls. And now I'm beating myself up for the potentiality for not having done that before, and it's just like thinking about myself over and over again. But I've been trying something different, which is not thinking about it myself as much, just like, like going through life, doing whatever makes sense next. And today I had the brilliant, but also like an idea of that I was judging myself for a lot, which is another acid trip. Because I was like, okay, so here's what was going through my mind in the morning. I wake up today, I'm like, because I had an idea yesterday. I was like, I kind of just want to go work out, maybe take a microdose of shrooms, but I feel like I've been using shrooms the past few days, and I don't know if this is true, but I've been feeling like I've been using shrooms the past few days for making myself feel like I'm on the track again, as opposed to using the bad drug like estrogen or acid. Um, and I kind of wanted to give myself an acid trip today so that I can see how much of an option I have in every moment to not invest in my thoughts because I don't feel like I need to be blaming the acid for the retreat. I feel like I can go through an acid trip maybe even if I've never done it before and just sit and not pay attention to the thoughts but just do anything in my life like talk with someone, express my feelings, express whatever is happening and I didn't do it until now and I don't know if I will because I guess I'm scared. Period.
Yeah. Oh, that's understandable. Um, yeah, like how I guess how many times have you done acid?
A fair few times, maybe like 15 times total
Yeah,
in my life.
that's a good amount. I think I've done
Yeah.
yeah, I think I've done half a tab twice. Like I bought one and split it and did it twice. And
Yeah, that seems more reasonable. I was thinking of 3 tabs today as well. I'm like, I gotta prove to myself that I have choice.
I mean, you do have the choice to do it if you wanted, but then,
Yeah,
like you said, that would be a bit of consequences in terms of like your senses. You might get a little
yeah,
overwhelmed there, but hey, yeah.
yeah,
Well, and
yeah,
acid especially is one of those ones where I feel like your environment definitely plays a big role in it, and it just I don't know. I had one really good trip on it, and then the other one was like really bad. I was sitting inside in my basement, and the lights were off, and I was looking at the technology. I was like, "Oh, the technology's evil. I gotta get away from it." And like that day, I went
damn, that's relatable.
right, and I think it's like I don't know if it's subconscious or if it's a like an actual thing. Like maybe it is evil, but I don't know. It just feels like a pretty universal feeling that like yeah the technology does cool stuff but it's not really like great for us, right?
I don't know.
uh, that's kind of debatable, but yeah, that day that I had the bad acid trip, I was home with my dad and I went and talked to him and I said, hey, I'm freaking out, like I'm on acid, can we just talk for a bit? And we went outside and walked around and it was good, but
Nice.
I feel like sometimes you have to be able to say like, "Hey, I am scared. Can you
Yeah,
like?" Sometimes you need somebody there to be like, "Yeah, hey, it's gonna be okay. You're good. We work through it, and it's okay." Like, what does it matter if you are scared and you do need to be soothed or whatever the hell the word is? It's like, yeah, sure. So we all do. Like, we all need that reassurance that like we were talking about with the genders, right? You need to have that reinforcement to show you can show your emotions and it will be okay.
yeah. I mean, on one aspect, yeah, I agree, but on another aspect, I wonder about how much of that means that I take my ability to sit with the feelings and to grow as a human being because I feel like it did feel like transitioning was soothing myself. And so, yeah, that was fine. And it resulted in me learning a lot of things that I'm sure will have an impact that, can be beneficial to everyone. Like, it's not like it was a mistake that I transitioned. Um, but what I learned on the other side of the quote unquote detransition, which is just my name for saying that I went off of the hormones and decided not to do any more surgeries at all or anything like that, was that it felt like I didn't need um, the same amount of things that I felt like I needed before. And it felt like all of those feelings that I was feeling before changed in a way. Like it didn't feel as appetizing to me, the idea of me becoming better. Um, because the idea of me becoming better had consequences at another retreat at the time, of me feeling like I wasn't enough because everyone around me was upset. But that made me realize that it had nothing to do with me, and that me being as girly or as beautiful or as sexy or whatever I thought I could do to make people around me happy, to make me feel safe, didn't work, and that I didn't need to feel safe, I guess. Um, huh.
Like you're saying, like you already were safe, so there wasn't necessarily the need to like reinforce that feeling. Maybe it.
I don't know. It felt like I don't know that I was safe or wasn't safe. It's just that I felt like I was okay with sitting in the unsafety, I guess, of like maybe these people are upset at me, maybe these people are not upset at me at all. But either way, if I don't have control, then I might as well just sit with the feeling and not like react to the feeling by changing my gender or reaching out to some person that I feel like will help me not feel those feelings. And I'm honestly a little bit glad. I don't know if Ray is doing the right thing or the wrong thing. And I don't need to. It's just that I'm glad that he did give me some space, because what I'm feeling now, I couldn't have felt if DU were still in my life. I don't know if I want to hold on to some idea of a better future, because then I feel like I'm disconnected from everyone aside from the community, and then I'm not even connected with the community because I'm not connected with it myself. So that's why I'm disconnected with everyone outside of the community. I'm disconnected with the community on a surface level where it feels like I'm connected with people who I think are smart, but do I really know that they're smart? Like, do I know that? Because everyone is smart. Everyone is doing the best that they can. It feels like everyone is paying just as much attention. It's just what are they paying attention to? And I can learn from everyone based on what they're paying attention to, because I'm paying attention to everything. Like I have tech. I do use tech. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it seems to have some kind of impact, like having these devices around me seems to have some kind of impact. Um, and the way that I use any of these devices, whether it be drugs or devices or anything like that, seems to have some kind of impact on my conscious environment. And I don't know if acid is a bad thing, but it did feel like every single time I've been on acid, it's felt like my mind has been more certain because of how much it's processing. And I don't know if it's because of the times that I took acid. I took acid because I wanted to be certain and I wanted to have a good time. And so my mentality was impacting the fact that I even took the acid or the estrogen or was doom scrolling. So it's like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
But I also don't know that doing a 3 tab acid trip is going to help me know anything. It's just an experience that I can get to go through, that I can get to experience and see what happens. But if I'm expecting that by the end of the trip I will understand and be on the right path or anything like that, then that's just looking for another kind of, I don't know, high.
Yeah. Well, and I can kind of add to that. When I said I had a good trip, I think the best part about that day that I did acid was I took it and I went outside and I cut the grass in the sun and I was listening to music and I almost wasn't even thinking about the trip, about anything. I was just cutting the grass
Wow.
in the moment. So maybe a 3 tab acid trip could be good. If not that it
Yeah.
could be good or bad, but like as long as you're just
Less
like in the,
self-involved.
yeah, like if you're in the moment, just existing,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, yeah. And even this topic of like, because right and wrong is perception, right? Or it's not objective, subjective. It's kind of your what you make of it. So there isn't really objective right or wrong. But I was also talking to Jewel about this, and we were going into it like it's two completely different, or I guess they're similar thoughts in philosophy of like moral objectivism and subjectivism. And that's why the one day I was posting on my story, like, do you think there is objective right and wrong? And if so, this, if not, this. Because it's an interesting question to say, like, is there anything in the world that is objectively bad? It's hard to say because you can make the argument either way, whether it's murder, you could say, oh, that man was doing bad things. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's. So, yeah, I guess all that you can do is live, is breathe, treat others like you want to be treated, right? That rule's pretty good. It's like,
I feel like you do. I feel like you do either way. You can't help
oh,
but treat people like the way that you treat yourself.
yeah. No, absolutely. Whether you like it or not, it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
One reel I was watching right now was talking about how they asked their friend to talk with them the way that they talk with themselves, and then that person was talking with them the way that they talked with themselves, and it was just like straight up like the most toxic shit that he's heard, and it's like, why do people think that they're only like slightly beating themselves up rather than just like fisting themselves over and over again? Because if we were talking with each other straight up like how we're talking in our minds, it would feel like, yeah, no, like this is not just like beating yourself up lightly. It's pretty harsh, and I don't know. That
absolutely.
I found that interesting.
Yeah. Even, oh, I just had something. Uh, you were just saying how we talk to ourselves. Yeah, I feel like the way I talk to myself through the day, I'm definitely like, okay, on your shit. What do you have to get done? Do this, this, this. Get that done. Now that you're at that point, you can like have some free time, whatever. But what if I tried to talk to somebody else like that? They would look at me like, "What the fuck are you talking about? I'm gonna do my own thing. You can do your thing. I'm not gonna listen to you." Right? So I don't know. Actually, I think it lagged there.
It did, yeah.
Did you catch that?
I caught the part where you were talking about how you could be doing something else, but I don't really know
Sorry.
what you said before that.
No, you're chilling. I was saying like, if I talk to somebody else as I talk to myself, they would probably say like, "No, screw you. I'm gonna go do my own thing." Because why are you? Who are you to tell
Yeah,
me what to do? Why don't we tell our brains that like, no, I'm my body, or I'm the consciousness
yeah,
controlling the body, so I'm gonna do what I want, not what my brain tells me I should be doing, right?
yeah, yeah. Honestly, I feel like I have this almost sort of like psychotic need, it feels like, to like have some sort of like coherency between my thoughts and my experience. And it's like, because there is none. There's none. It feels like I will do one thing and my thoughts will give me perceptions of both, how it's a good thing and a bad thing. And I can do something else that my mind convinced me may be a better thing, and then I'll have both of those perceptions show up there as well. And it's like, yeah, when I was going through the transition in the first place, I was like feeling a lot like I was judging myself through the transition. Like it was difficult to even go through the transition because I was like, damn, like this is like really hard on me. Like I wish I could find a different kind of way, but I don't know. It was the way that I went. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, and
It
now you have that experience that only you can talk about because it's from your point of view, right? It it's something that makes you unique, and then I'm sure in
yeah.
another universe or another timeline, there's a version of you that made a different decision. Uh, I don't
And they
know.
don't have those experiences.
Yeah, but it's not like it's not something you have to worry about because in a way you did have the experience. You're just not like consciously aware of the other thoughts or the other
That's a good
feelings,
point.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just it
This is
popped in my head. I'm
awesome.
like, oh shit, but wait, it's all well, yeah, and just
Yeah.
see, and it would be nice if we could even listen to each other as a whole and just kind of like really listen and take in what other people are saying. Like I'm hearing you talk about how you felt during the transition and the emotions you go through. It's like, yeah, I wonder, or not I wonder, I haven't felt like that necessarily in my life, but I can put myself in your shoes and be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, guys' clothes are kind of boring. The chicks' clothes look cool. They got cool designs on. I rock with that. Like, I can understand. But then there's so many people who would just
Yeah.
put up the barriers. They would just block out anything that's not their confirmation bias. And it's like, why? At least like be open to other people's experiences and ideas. I don't know. I feel like it makes life more fun, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because, like, I feel like it's really easy to disconnect from my body when I feel like I have to be presenting myself as something. And then when it's being recorded or anything like that, then it's like, oh, like other people are gonna see it. But it's like, I don't know. I would much rather be in my body and actually be feeling the harm that I'm causing myself than not, than putting a smile over it or putting a mask over it or something like that because it's like it's affecting every moment. Like every moment that I experience is affecting everything, not just me but everyone. It feels like if I'm not living my life for me, it's impacting everyone. If I am living my life for someone else, it's going to impact everyone. Like just like it's happening now and it's going to be happening when I'm with someone else as well. It's just a choice that I can make right now to be like, yeah, no, that was self-involved. I don't need to be self-involved. I can make a different choice.
Yeah. Well, and just existing casts out the ripples, but you don't necessarily have to have thoughts about existing or the ripples or like, because let's say a frog jumping in the water, they're not caring. They're not caring about the ripples that they're sending out and where that's gonna hit and
Right.
bounce off it. They're just going for a swim and then they're just living their life.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I should say too, if you do want to call and talk and we don't record it, you let me know. I'd be happy to, because if you're feeling something, I'd be more than happy to talk about it with you and see where a conversation goes. It doesn't have to be posted for other people to see, right?
I appreciate that, Charles.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'll keep it in
absolutely.
mind.
Of course. It's one of those things where I like the idea of recording, just recording life, like vlogs or
Yeah,
recording
I
this.
do too. Which is why I didn't say anything about it because it's like, yeah, I'm going through it. It's fine. We can post it because it's like I don't know. It's like everyone's going through something. Take what you will, to spit out what you don't want. It's fine.
And I think it's such a cool thing that we're like literally creating history in a sense of like, imagine if people, well, I'm sure they did back in the day, try to write journals and write their own history books, but this is going to be up there as long as I leave it
Yeah,
on the channel. So it's like a mark in history. People could go back on in 5, 10, 15 years, be like, oh, this is a cool podcast. They were doing this years ago, but now I'm listening to a conversation that, like, I don't know. It would be kind of cool to hear like a radio talk show from like the
yeah,
1970s or 60s, like way back, even further back. But just to hear like how they spoke, what they were talking about, like I don't know. I wonder if
what
you,
life is like.
yeah, and I'm sure it would sound similar to how
Yeah,
we talk today. Like, oh yeah, I went to the store, I
just
talked to
different
Joe.
lingo.
Yeah, but everybody's just living, existing. They're
Yeah,
they got to buy their groceries. eat their meals, go to sleep. What is it? Eat, sleep, and shit, and then you die and
Yeah.
you keep going. Like,
Right? Yeah, it's all relatable. It feels like it's everyone's losing friends, everyone's gaining friends, everyone is feeling like they have to put on a mask, not put on a mask. It feels like it's the experience of, I don't know, relation with one another. So it's cool that we get the opportunity to talk about it, record it, whatever, you know?
absolutely. It's what is it? And we're practicing like philosophy, anthropology, like all that cool stuff. We're literally like,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
all these academics want to say, "Oh, we know what's up because we're reading the books and we're going to lectures." It's like,
We know.
this is it, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's why love listening to your podcast as well, is because I love like the application of philosophy, which is the application of like being curious about things, being curious and listening and talking, and like I love listening to just even you talk, but then like other people as well, like looking forward to hearing Ben talk, like I said as well, and I don't know, it's just because that's why I got into dualistic unity. It's part of the reason was that I enjoy questions like, is there something like objectively good or objectively bad? Like, is that possible? Is that like, is it possible to have something be objectively good? But it's like, yeah, it's fun. It's interesting. It's entertaining. It doesn't have to be answered, which I feel like is sometimes where I get caught is like on the answer, because then I want to know, because I want to have some idea of things being better. But if I'm just like here and practicing the question, then it's like, oh, there's so many questions. There's a bunch of questions.
Yeah, and the most fun part is like asking the questions and seeing where it goes. Because frankly, once you get the answer to stuff, sometimes it's like, oh, well, I kind of wish I didn't get the answer to that, and then I could just think
Yeah,
about it, right? Like
yeah.
Santa Claus, that guy.
Ooh,
Uh, just thinking about him, you know,
damn.
it can get deep that way because you're like, yeah, maybe I won't spoil it for people. But yeah.
Is there a Christmas episode?
Oh, that would be pretty sick actually. Get it all like
Right? I would love
decorated.
to hear more about. Yeah. Yeah, Santa Claus would be interesting to think about.
I can say I'm pretty sure the character we see, like the red and white getup, I think that was created by Coca-Cola, to
No
market
shit.
their product as a winter drink, or like, oh, Santa drinks Coca-Cola in the winter, so it's, you know,
Damn.
yeah, it's kind of
Wow, Coke
ironical.
is older than Santa?
Yo, yeah.
Yo!
Well,
No way, Coke is older.
I
Jeez.
think I think there is stuff they referenced like in history, but then the character you see with the red and white, like in all the cartoons and stuff, that
Yeah.
is very North
Oh,
American.
interesting.
Yeah, like I think
That's so interesting.
one of the characters I think they referenced was like a chimney sweep who would like go down your chimney and steal shit and then come back out because he could like dislocate his shoulders so he could like shimmy down there. And just thinking about that, it's like, why did we take that and put that into like a character where like, oh yeah, kids, he's great, you can go tell him what you want for Christmas, like, oh my god. So yeah, I might have to do an episode looking into it, eh?
That's a good point, though. Like, we do kind of associate all these characteristics with such a good person. Santa Claus is amazing for climbing down our chimneys.
Yeah. Oh, and he's giving us gifts. We're feeding him cookies and stuff. He's definitely not off the to get around the world, you know. Yeah.
Lord, have mercy.
Oh, yeah, you know.
Damn.
But yeah, I also thank you for saying that you like listening to the podcast, because I appreciate hearing that there are people on the other side that, you know, it's not just me talking to nobody and there's nobody out there
No.
listening. Like, I don't
I
know.
like listening to your music as well. I appreciate you creating. It inspires me to create as well, frankly.
Thank you. Is there something you've been working on lately?
Drawing more and more, I guess. Just for myself. I haven't shared it with anyone. But yeah, just getting into the rhythm of drawing more because I hadn't drawn in like since childhood maybe. Here and there maybe, but like I got judged for it a lot, even in childhood, competitions, like you have to get first place or you're a loser's drawer, and so that happened. And
Like, as was it like a made event, like with adults, or was it just like the kids getting together?
so I used to draw just in my spare time and I had fun with it, but then one of the teachers saw that and they wanted me and other students as well to participate in a competition. So the competition was amongst kids going up to grade 12. So in my grade, which was I think grade 4 or something, grade 4s are competing with other grade 4s and grade 5s are competing with other grade 5s, and so we're trying to figure out who the best drawing is from grade 4. And so there was this competition. I drew something that I thought was nice and it didn't get put up on the wall. I ended up showing up for basically to lose, I guess, in that experience. And then my mom was dressed up as well, and she it was sad. It was really sad, and so that was pretty traumatic. And I guess I stopped drawing. But yeah, just drawing now doesn't really matter if it looks good or not. And I feel like maybe sometimes I almost try to make it not good because I want to be okay with that. But I'll just keep going. I'll just do my best, not try as much, just do. And it's been nice because I feel like just putting color on my tablet and just like looking at colors and just allowing myself to express has been so um I don't know what the word for it is, but it feels cathartic. Cathartic is the word I
Oh,
was looking for.
nice. Well, I'm
Yeah,
glad
it
to hear.
feels very cathartic.
I'm glad to hear that you have been getting back into it, because what a what a silly idea to say, oh yeah,
Right?
let's compete to see who's the best in something that's like casual for fun. Like, unless you're trying to make a career of it in the future, you really don't need to be giving a shit about how your stuff looks compared to anybody else's. But that reminds me of a video I saw of PewDiePie. It popped up in my recommended, but he was drawing like every day of a year to like show his progression.
Okay.
That could be something. Just, you don't have to record it or show people, but just like a little bit every day and just see
Yeah.
how it changes over time, right?
That would be cool. Yeah, because I feel like right now I maybe even like delay drawing until I feel like I have something to express or something to work through maybe. So it maybe even is more of a coping mechanism, but doing something on a consistent basis would be an interesting experiment because I feel like there's nothing besides eating and sleeping that I do on a consistent basis. And I've kind of avoided trying to do things on a consistent basis after like, the whole life I had that I was talking about where I was working and trying to make careers out of everything. And I don't know, it was hard. And so I kind of judge myself, I guess, whenever I'm doing things on a consistent basis, but I don't have to. So maybe doing that would be an interesting experience as well. Try to take it as lightly as I can, not make a whole like deal out of it, I guess.
Yeah, and I feel like it could be cool to see what you come up with on the days when you think, oh, I don't want to draw, but then you think, oh, okay, just to stay consistent, let's see what just comes up like from your imagination, right?
Yeah, true.
And I think,
That's cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think PewDiePie even said he wanted to do characters and get better at one specific thing.
Mm,
So if you said like, oh, architecture or like nature, like Bob Ross kind of like nature paintings, if you wanted to pick a category, I'm sure you could see like pretty good progress even just like
yeah,
in that, right? But then,
I appreciate this.
of course, and it's not about the progress, but it's just
No.
about having fun doing it, and then you get to see the
Yeah.
progress after, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. True. Yeah.
Well, um, I think this is a good place to set it down for this episode. But like I
I
said,
kind of was, yeah, sure. we can. Yeah.
Oh, what's up? No, if you got something
I
else.
was I was curious how you've been as well because we've been talking a lot about me, and I was curious because I don't know. There's been a lot going on in your life as well, so
Yeah.
curious
Oh,
how you've been.
I've been okay. I don't know. I've been trying to take time to focus on my mental health, and I've been trying to go to therapy. I've went to one, and then I canceled one appointment, so I have to rebook.
Okay.
But other than that, I've been smoking less. I have a page tracking all the tokes I take through the day, and I've only had 4 today, which is really good considering a few days ago, like a week ago, I had 12 in a day.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's about night right for you now.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's it? 5:30, and I woke up
Okay.
around 7. Yeah, I had my first toke at 8 this morning, so I I'm feeling proud of myself for not needing it,
Awesome.
and
Yeah. Cool.
I find the more you can challenge yourself in thinking like, oh no, I don't need it right now, and you're like building up the willpower, that can also be a cool test of like, I don't know, test of character, test of like building willpower kind of.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, before this call as well, I was feeling like, hey, I really want to get high because I'll get more insights or something. And it's like, damn, I'm like putting so much pressure on myself to show up in a certain kind of way. And it's like, we're just here to talk. So, like, I decided not to. I just decided to get my food.
Yeah. Well,
And
and
I might go after this and get a toke, but, it doesn't have to be for a reason. I could have done it then as well and just showed up. But it's nice to feel like I don't have to be high all day because I was getting high all day. So it's nice to not feel like I have to be high all day.
yeah. Oh, I've definitely felt that where it's just like some days I wake up tired and it's just my whole day is messed up because I don't want to like engage. And days like that, I definitely smoke more because it's just like coping and
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure.
Realistically, I
I
should
feel
probably
that.
just get more sleep, right? Like it doesn't.
I don't know.
But at the end of the
One
day,
option or the other.
yeah. At the end of the day, it's just like, I don't know. There was a point in my life where I did feel like I needed to, or that was just what I wanted to do. And now I'm getting to the point where maybe I don't need to, maybe I don't want to. And I feel like it's a nice feeling to be able to consciously make the decision instead of just like, especially with weed or tobacco and
Yeah,
alcohol even. I find people
yeah,
are just, oh, it's the weekend or it's the end of the day, so let me
yeah,
go to the vice. But I don't know, you don't need it. And let me just say,
yeah,
even just you talking about your life and just how, like, the things that you've been going through, those can be insights to people, or they're insightful in themselves. It doesn't need to be, oh, I had this philosophical thought. No, it's like, no, that's,
yeah. True. People make butter with whatever, right? Like you can make cool things out of whatever you're hearing. Like it doesn't have to be enlightening or anything like that.
yeah.
It's what you do with it. So yeah, that makes sense.
And like you said, it's like philosophy is all about like asking questions, not really about the answer, because how can you really say there is any one answer to any one question, right? It's
Yeah,
I'm sure for some
yeah,
people it's a piss off and they're like, "Oh, what the fuck?"
yeah.
Like,
Right. Yeah,
I definitely used to be like that, but now it's just like, "No, that's the fun of it." Like,
yeah,
what's it? If there was complete unity, we wouldn't have different bodies, so there wouldn't be any of this like other stuff we perceive around it. It would just be like us sitting there like, well, okay, now what? Like,
right. We wouldn't be talking.
yeah. Oh, it's and having that realization, it's just like, yeah, let's enjoy being different, but appreciate it and not like try to assimilate and just be normal, right?
Yeah,
That's so
yeah,
boring.
yeah, yeah. Enjoy our differences.
Yeah, and learn from them. Because, if you just look at other people and go, oh, you're different, so it means this, and it's like, no, everybody is different. Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It's Great to hear that you've been doing your thing, Charles.
Absolutely. And I would love to talk again soon whenever you want, because, geez, I'd be happy to hop on and just be like, yeah, I've been doing all this. Like, I can get into nerdy stuff with music or whatever, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. That's awesome. Yeah, I appreciate the offer. I'll let you know.
Sweet. But yeah, thank you for joining me on this episode of the Shit Shooting Gallery podcast. And to everybody
Thank you for
watching,
having me.
of course. To everybody watching, I love you. Stay safe. Good luck. Easy. I'm Mouse.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.